Welcome into the Illini Inquirer podcast. It's our live post-game podcast here. Jeremy Werner, Kyle Tausk with you tonight as Illinois wins a 10 straight game, 10 straight wins for this Illinois team, putting it firmly in the Big Ten title race, entering the second half of the Big Ten season. Tonight, 75-66 over Washington. Illinois gets down early in this one, Kyle, 7-0. But really responded, controlled most of the game, never able to really run away from the Huskies, but find a way to just win another game and stack win upon win upon win, and again, set themselves up for a fun Big Ten title race. Tonight, again, it was the freshman, Keaton Wagler, after his 46-point performance, 22 points, 8 assists, 5 rebounds. David Mirkovic with 19 points in this one, shot 7 of 15 from the field, made 3 3-pointers in this one. And Ben Humrichous, huge off the bench with 14 points. We had the three best freshmen in the Big Ten right now, the 3 Big Ten Freshman of the Year candidates. I think Keaton Wagler is clearly the front runner here, but all of them shined. Hans Steinbach, 15 points, 12 rebounds for Washington, but Steinbach, not enough help. Illinois did enough defensively to shut down the guards, or at least hold them in check. Wesley Yates with 13 points for Washington, while Zoom Diallo had 12 points, 10 assists, and 7 rebounds. He filled up the stat sheet, Kyle, but wasn't the prettiest one. It was a really slow-paced game. It was an efficient game offensively for both teams, but here's another win for Illinois, led by its freshmen.
This team just keeps taking care of business, man. They keep getting it done. 10 straight wins. You go undefeated, 8-0 in January. Pretty impressive. We knew that it was going to be a favorable January for Illinois outside of that Purdue game, and just stacked wins, kept taking care of teams that you're better than. And tonight was another example, and one that coming in, there were rightful concerns about this being a tricky spot, a potential emotional letdown coming off of Purdue on Saturday and everything that meant. And obviously Keaton's historic performance, but then also looking ahead to what's coming on Sunday, both a Big Ten title worthy game between 2 Big Ten title contenders, also a kind of a revenge game for this Illinois team that you could easily look ahead for. But you just take care of it tonight. And even though it wasn't the prettiest game, even though Illinois never really got the separation to kind of deliver the knockout blow on Washington, never really felt like Washington was going to win. Never felt like Illinois wasn't in control and going to ultimately prevail at the end. So that's just kind of been the theme since that last Nebraska matchup of just handling business, a favorable stretch in the schedule. Teams like Washington, who have talent, are capable, if you don't bring the right mentality and bring your best stuff, are capable of picking you off and upsetting you. But Illinois just hasn't let that happen. They just have too much. When you have 2 freshmen this talented that can carry the load on a night where some other guys were off, it feels like Keaton is the consistent piece. He's been so good, but you always have somebody else or a couple other guys that can do enough for this team to get them past a night like tonight. And it's a really impressive streak that they're on. Now it's going to get a little bit tougher, but they've set themselves up for those to mean a lot.
Yeah, and here's the thing. 10 straight wins is never easy. And to respond the way they have since that Nebraska game, to set yourself up going to Nebraska with the Big Ten title race in your hands, right? Like you have a chance now to avenge that loss, and you haven't lost since that game. It's pretty amazing they've done that against 9 high major opponents. So no, you haven't played a bunch of Big Ten title contenders. Nebraska's played a tougher schedule to this point in the Big Ten, but the fact that you went to Purdue and won, the fact that you went to Iowa and won, and haven't had a letdown here, that's the sign of a great team. Is, you can have not the greatest start against Maryland, not the greatest start against Minnesota, not the greatest start against here, but one, you have enough firepower, Kyle. But also, every time Washington threw a punch back to get in this game, Illinois punched right back. And it was the same thing against Maryland. It's the same thing against Minnesota. Illinois should win these games, but it's not easy to always take care of business like that. So you've set yourself up by doing that to have these great opportunities to go to Purdue and get a win that is a game changer for this season. And now you get the chance to go to Nebraska for another game-changing, season-changing type of win. So I never take that for granted, because this is the longest winning streak of the Brad Underwood era. Like, Brad Underwood his teams have generally struggled in January. As you said, they just went undefeated in January, and that should never be taken for granted, no matter how high expectations are. The fact that this team is taking care of business, it's a great sign, not only for the coaching staff, but these players are made of the right stuff.
Yeah, it's a sign of a true championship contender, and one that is going to be in the mix at the top of the league at the end of the year. When you can string these wins together and put a streak together like this, you're putting yourself right in that mix. And I just think there's been a steadiness to this team's approach from night to night. It's not to say that they have had their A+ stuff in all of these games. They really haven't in a lot of these home games. You felt, there's been some sluggishness at times early in some of these games, like you said, but haven't let themselves and put themselves in precarious spots here to where you're coming down in the second half and it feels like the other team has come in and kind of punked you and controlled the game on you. Illinois just hasn't let that happen because, like you said, they've had answers. They've kept responding. And it just, there's been such a steadiness to the way this team has played for the last month and a half. And I think that's the sign of the truly great teams, is when there isn't that volatility. And even on a team that is as reliant on 3-point shooting and, skill and offense as Illinois is, tonight was still a good offensive night. I didn't think it was anywhere near their best, and you still pretty much control the game against a pretty talented team. And just there's consistency to the offensive rebounding. They're doing enough defensively when you have to. It's impressive. It's really impressive to win 10 games in a row, to win 8 Big Ten games in a row here to start January. And it keeps feeling like we'll get into this rematch against Nebraska coming up and how Illinois is different since that first matchup. But it feels like we've heard from many different people, like that Nebraska loss really shifted the mindset of this team, because they let Nebraska come into their building and kind of punk them in the first half. Now, part of that was Bryce Sanford was out of his mind hot, but Nebraska was up double digits early in that game, and Illinois then had to play from behind. Just felt like they never really were in command of that one. Since then, there's just been a business-like approach to this group, and we'll see how long it can continue, because we're going to get some fun matchups here coming up.
Yeah, we'll talk about it here a little bit. The defense just feels a little bit more focused, I would say. The effort and just the mental focus on that side is better, and the rebounding has just been great. I know it was 34-34 tonight, but 14 offensive rebounds to get 24 second chance points. It's just a game changer. I'll talk more about that here in a moment. We'll start with our hits and misses. We'd love to hear from you guys live on our YouTube channel. Hit that like button, subscribe to us while you're here. Hit that notifications bell so you know when we go live here. But if you have any of those super chats, we'll get to those as we go along. We'd love for you to join in on the conversation. My first hit, though, is what an encore for Keaton Wagler. No, he didn't score 46 points again, but again, he was the best player on the floor. For all the emotion and everybody worried about, is Keaton Wagler going to read his own press clippings? I never worried about that with him. This kid just makes the right decisions. Whatever coverage is thrown at him, he makes the right decisions. He's incredibly poised. He's incredibly patient, and he just makes the right plays. And tonight, Washington tried to punk him early on. Wesley Yates got right in his grill and face guarded him for the first couple possessions. And it really got Illinois out of sync and forced other guys to try and make shots. And they couldn't. Illinois missed its first 7 shots. But then they kind of backed into more switching, and Keaton found his space, Kyle, and he scores 5 points. It gets Illinois back in the game, starts the 10-0 run. And then from there, it was just the ball was in Keaton Wagler's hands, and he just led an offense that had 1.3 points possession again tonight. And it looked like the number one offense yet again. 22 points on an amazingly efficient 7 of 13 shooting. Got fouled 10 times, got to the free throw line, didn't make as many as he normally does, but 1 turnover to 8 assists in 38 minutes. He left the floor 1 time tonight. And again, like NBA scouts galore here tonight, to see Steinbach, to see Wagler. And Keaton Wagler, I thought, was just as impressive. Like his ability to control a game and control the game offensively, it was almost just as impressive as Purdue. He just didn't shoot as much because Washington tried to get the ball out of his hands. Just any flowers you can throw at this kid. It's just he controls everything as an 18-year-old, soon to be 19 next week.
Forget freshman of the year. I think he's locked that up pretty clearly. All respect to Hans Steinbach, who's really impressive.
All respect to David Mirkovic, too.
Yeah, sure. He'd win it a lot of years. Probably wins it last year. Well, probably wins it 2 years ago. Not last year was loaded. 2 years ago was the weaker one.
Yeah.
But I think this might be the Big Ten Player of the Year, Jeremy.
Let's go, Kyle. Let's go. Go into that. He needs to be there. He needs to be talked about
right in
like
the
a
mix.
Big Ten Player of the Year. Yeah.
Especially if Purdue doesn't end up in that top group in terms of Big Ten title contention, and they're struggling here recently. Now, I wouldn't put it past them to figure it out. Braden Smith's had a great year, but Keaton Wagler in Big Ten plays averaging 21.4 points per game, 5.3 assists, 3.9 rebounds, 1.9 turnovers, shooting 50.4% from the floor and 47% from three. It's superstar stuff. He's been one of the best players in the conference in Big Ten play. He's been so steady and consistent every single night. Has he had a bad game?
He's been better than Braden Smith. He's been better than Braden Smith. And I freaking respect the hell out of Braden Smith. He has been better than him so far this year. Now, there's guys on Michigan who are really, really good.
He's been better than Axel Endeborg. He has.
Yeah, I think Wagler's having the best season among all those Michigan guys. There's guys in Nebraska having fantastic seasons. Jeremy Fears Jr. might be his top competition for me, along with Braden. But no, right now, I think he's doing that. And you're right. Once they handed him the keys at UConn, he's played well in every game.
Has not had a bad game. It hasn't. There's been a few games where he hasn't scored as much. Still impacts the game at a high level. Like the 11-point game against Southern, 10 assists, 7 rebounds. It felt like he didn't have his best game. Went 1 for 9 from 3 against Maryland, 8 assists, 7 rebounds, 0 turnovers, and obviously 46 at Mackey is going to be one of those that you come voting time, that will be remembered as maybe the best individual performance in college basketball this year. That'll carry a lot of weight too. I think the Keaton Wagler Big Ten Player of the Year campaign needs to really start to get some teeth here with what he's doing. He's been one of the best players in the conference, just so consistent every single night with his impact. And tonight, yeah, you said it, early in the game, Washington felt like they were physical with him. Wesley Yates face guarding him, really trying to deny him. Now, I was surprised that Washington kind of backed off of that pretty quickly and didn't really try to do that for a lot of the game, but they were still pretty physical. Like Wesley Yates, physical defender, was getting up into him a little bit, missed his first 2 shots, just bounces back from it, just gets downhill all night long, gets into the paint, draws fouls, just isn't fazed by anything defenses throw at him. Anything that has been thrown his way for the last month and a half, he's just made almost every right decision and has just found a way every single night, regardless of what the game throws at him, to just impact Illinois at a high level and lead this offense at a really high level. I mean, this is the engine and by far the best player on the number 1 offense in the country and one of the best teams in college basketball. So I think we need to start even leveling up how we talk about the season he's having, because he's having one of the better Illinois seasons that we've seen here recently. And his consistency since UConn has been Terrence Shannon and Ayo Dosunmu, like, with his impact every night.
He's playing like junior year Ayo Dosunmu. You know, Terrence went on one of the runs I've never ever seen before, but Keaton's like right up there. Like his stretch since that Tennessee game has been absolutely ridiculous. So yeah, I totally agree. He deserves to be in that. I think Illinois would have to win the Big Ten for him to probably feel great about winning it, because voters are going to go towards the veteran guy, the team that wins the Big Ten. But with him playing like this, Illinois got a true chance to do it. All right, Kyle, what do you got for a hit?
That other freshman's pretty good too. That guy's pretty good. Like you said, he probably the 3rd place finisher in Big Ten Freshman of the Year if it ended today. I still think you probably give the nod to Hannes Steinbach over him, but David held his own in that matchup. You could tell it felt like there was, early in the game, there was some aggressiveness from David and some physicality in trying to go toe-to-toe with Steinbach. And he really held his own. And offensively, Illinois really needed him, especially early in the game. It was really, again, Keaton and nobody else was really all that involved. And David finally made some shots and got Illinois going there in the first half, and was just really aggressive tonight. Missed some shots at the rim in the second half, and there was a couple you're going to get a couple erratic, maybe give it up in certain situations from him, but he just had a really strong game and started to rebound it in the second half as well. And this is a really, really good freshman duo. This has been Illinois' two best players, really, for the last month since that Nebraska game. David's been right there as a really consistent second piece there, and he's been a big part of this offense here recently, and just continues to shoot it really well too. Missed some threes late. It was 3 for 5 at one point, ends up 3 for 8, but really, really good three-point shooter too, David Mirkovic, which was a big question for him. Really, really good free throw shooter, David Mirkovic. He's providing a lot of value for this team and has been really consistent as well.
Far better shooting the basketball than I ever thought he would be coming into this year. During Big Ten play, or just during the entire season, he's 80% from the free throw line, which is huge because he draws a lot of fouls. But from the three-point line, 37.5% for the year. But Big Ten play, he's number 10 in the Big Ten at 42.9% from three. And it's almost like everyone's like, what's wrong with Tomislav Ivicic? He's not scoring as much. He's not doing as much. And part of that is, I mean, he didn't have a good shooting night tonight. We'll get to that. But David Mirkovic is playing a lot of the role that Tomislav Ivicic did last year. The usage, the dribble handoffs with Keaton, a lot of it is going through David now. David's bringing the ball up the court to give Keaton a little bit of a break, but sometimes Illinois kind of runs in some back downs and some booty ball with David. And, sometimes he can over dribble. Sometimes he might shoot a contested three that I don't like, but the production is so consistent with him at this point. It's mostly double-digit nights. You're going to get rebounds. And this kid's playing 30-plus minutes almost every game right now. So it's amazing that Illinois followed one of its best freshman classes ever, Kasparas Yakashonis, Will Riley, 2 one-and-dones, and Merez Johnson Jr., mind you, with another one of its best freshman classes ever, and Keaton, Wagler, and David Mirkovic.
This is probably the best freshman duo that Illinois has had since Dee and Darren.
These guys are more productive
as freshmen.
Yes,
true.
Yeah,
I mean, it's better than last year.
KJ and Will just never were doing. They were just never doing it at the same time. It just never happened at the same time. It was like one was great and the other one was not doing so well. Then it kind of flipped midway through the season. Yeah, this is one of the best freshman duos I've ever had. I mean, I guess Io and Georgie were together. That was pretty good too.
Although Io as a freshman was very up and down compared to what Keaton's doing. It's the point is though, you're led by 2 freshmen again this year, pretty much. I mean, Kylan would be there if he was healthy, and you still Andre will have his nights, Tommy will have his nights, but you're really being led by 2 freshmen again. After last year, it didn't go as well. I just think that speaks to the consistency that these 2 guys have brought you for almost this entire season, and just how advanced both of these guys are. You would never be able to tell that these guys are freshmen just watching them play for the first time, because they just have a maturity to their game. And I realize that the decision making for David can come and go. That's just kind of part of who he is. I just think the consistency with his motor, with his production, has really been there since that Nebraska game, just like Keaton. And so, he was great tonight. And oh, by the way, along with everything else he does, he's been your secondary ball handler, taking some pressure off Keaton, bringing the ball up the floor for you, just as another added element to his game with Kylan out, which you're sorely lacking a second ball handler without him, and he's filling that role. So he's just doing a little bit of everything for you. And you said it, like he's kind of been the focal point in the front court offensively, and has been involved in a lot more offensive action in the front court than Tommy has this year. And I think part of that is kind of what you're seeing, the inconsistency with Tommy's production offensively. I just think it's because you got another really skilled big alongside of him that's just been better than him and more consistent and more involved. So it's a great problem to have.
I told you coming on here, like last year, it was Tommy was such a key to unlocking that offense last year, right? Now you have 3 of them. Right.
Yeah.
I don't know. Z is not quite at that level, but the fact that he can stretch the floor like he does, but David and Tommy together, I mean, to have two of those guys is such a huge luxury. We'll get to more of this. We got another huge hit, some other things I want to hit on, some misses as well from this one. We'll look ahead to a huge trip to Lincoln. If you want to send in those super chats, we appreciate it. Thunderman, $9.99 super chat. Thank you, Thunderman. Says, love the content. We love the support from you. We also love the support from some of our sponsors. So let's get to one of those and we'll come back with some more hits and misses. The one thing about a lot of deodorants, guys, is it just covers up the smell for just a portion of the day. Well, Mando sent me their starter pack of products, and I can tell you, you can have confidence when using Mando products. They're going to smell good the entire day and not have to constantly reapply. And Mando is a whole body deodorant. It's safe to use everywhere on your body, from your head to your toes, because it is created by a doctor who saw firsthand how normal BO is being misdiagnosed and mistreated. And Mando is clinically proven to block odor all day and control odor for up to 72 hours. I like their solid deodorant stick. It's formulated and powered by mandelic acid to stop odor before it starts. You can try their spray deodorant as well. All their products are baking soda free and paraben free, and you can choose from a variety of scents like bourbon leather, cloverwood, Mount Fuji, or Pro Sport. Some men mask their BO with scents. Mando men get the job done right. Don't mask it, Mando it. It is available in retailers near you, or head to shopmando.com, because for a limited time, new customers get 20% off site-wide with our exclusive code. Use Illini at shopmando.com for 20% off site-wide plus free shipping. That's shopmando.com. Use code Illini for 20% off site-wide and free shipping. All right, let's get back into our hits and misses here. Kyle, Ben Humrichous. What a night. Good for Ben Humrichous to break out of a shooting slump like he has the last 3 games, but to have his biggest performance, I think, probably of the season. 14 points off the bench, makes 4 of 6 from 3. I believe, 8 of 14 now over the last 3 games. So kept shooting, man, kept shooting. But as big was just his activity on the glass, rebounding, prolonging possessions. I don't even think he got some of the rebounds and some he just tipped, but also defensively had a big steal at one point in the second half and just made some big stops and uses his length. So listen, maybe you can't have Jake Davis and Ben Humrichous have good nights on the same time, one of the guys from Indiana, but if one of the guys from Indiana steps up with a big role player performance, that's big. I didn't think Jake had a great game tonight, but then Ben steps up. To have those two types of role players, man, I don't know if you win this game without Ben Humrichous making those shots, making those plays to prolong possessions. Good for him, man. You're going to need him at some points. You can't just sit him on the bench. And, him and Jake Davis have stepped up big and increased minutes with Colin Boswell out.
Well deserved for Ben to finally see some shots go in, because he really has been valuable for this team all season long and has kind of remade himself from what he was last year in different role this year, but one where the emphasis has been more so on getting better defensively, being more active consistently, being a better rebounder. He's done all those things. The shooting just frustrating at times with the looks that he had gotten and that slump that he was in for 12 games there, shooting 25%. You wanted to see him break out of that before it got, almost unsalvageable to a point where it's just in his head and you can't rely on that. If he can make shots like this and just be a little bit more consistent with the great looks that get generated for him playing in this offense from Keaton, Wagler, and David Mirkovic, like, it's a really valuable role player off the bench and a guy that has made a big impact for this team. He was really, really good tonight, and I thought just played his butt off. I mean, he was all over the place. He flew out of bounds, saving one ball on this side of the floor, and kept another possession alive here. Like, I know 3 rebounds doesn't jump off the page, but he really kept some plays alive, and I just thought played really hard. And when you do that consistently, sometimes you finally get the rewards of those shots. But it feels like on the heels of the last 2 games where he had been 2 for 4 from 3 against Maryland, 2 for 4 against Purdue, just shooting it with more confidence. It looks better coming off his hand. You can tell it's not in his head anymore. He kind of relieved some of that pressure that had built up, and you're seeing a more confident shooter now, and one that's making some shots, and I think he deserves to make some shots with the way that it's gone, because he has done some good things for this team this year, and it's very valid to be frustrated with the looks that he has been missing to this point. If he can just start doing what he did tonight a little bit more often, that's a really, really valuable role player.
The last 3 games, he's raised his three-point percentage to 35.3%. You give me that the rest of the year with his defense. I mean, his block rate's great this year. He gets deflections, gets some steals, doesn't turn it over, man. And the other thing with him, like, I thought Jake Davis made some errors tonight defensively. Like, Ben Humrichous rarely, as Brad Underwood said today, makes some scouting report errors. So he said, Brad said in the post game that Ben couldn't guard anybody, that Tom Izzo's grandma could have scored 20 on him last year. And now he's guarding Zoom Diallo, who really, put together a nice stat line tonight, but was kind of kept in check from a scoring perspective. So just kudos to Ben. I think, as you said, he was deserving of a game like that. Are you got any other hits, Kyle?
Is there another
I got one. I got 2 other little ones. Illinois just continues to win the math game.
Yeah.
Like, the math game continues to work. Like, Washington was getting some points at the rim, right? Like, their guards can get downhill against Illinois. Their big men can offensive rebound. Heinz Steinbach got a lot of those. But Illinois had 24 second chance points. They outscored Washington by 20 points in second chance points. You talk about efficiency. It's when you prolong possessions. And then 3-pointers. They made 11. Washington made 6. Right? You're just gaining points. You had plus 15 points on those shots. And then free throws. Again, you just had 2, but you had 8 more attempts free throw wise than Washington tonight. It's just those things are what make the difference when Washington's better in the fast break. The rebounds are pretty even, but Illinois took advantage of those second chance opportunities, made a bunch of threes, got more free throw attempts. It's just the math game works in Illinois' favor in most games, even when they don't shoot it ridiculously well.
Yeah, it's just a really hard formula to beat when you're taking half your shots from 3, making them at a 36% clip, but getting 40% of your misses back. Oh, by the way, you get to the free throw line at a solid clip and don't send anybody to the free throw line. Like, you stack all those things on top of one another, and you got to do some pretty spectacular stuff in other areas to take down Illinois, because you're just giving yourself such an advantage. They've really found the formula in all those areas to just maximize the math, like you said. And this was a Washington team that was a pretty mid-range heavy offense coming in, and they took some of those in the second half, and Illinois kind of baited them into those. But yeah, if you're a team that's not going to be able to shoot it with Illinois, and the glass advantage, I mean, you're not going to have much of a rebounding advantage against this team the way that they've rebounded. It's an uphill climb for you to take this team down, especially when you're not at the level of Illinois. If you're a lesser team like we've seen here, like, you're going to have to do something pretty spectacular to overcome all of that that's kind of stacking on top of one another.
The other thing I had, zone defense is here to stay for Illinois as a changeup. What percentage of possessions do you think they zoned today? Like, it felt like at least a quarter, didn't it?
I think I was going to say 25% probably.
Yeah.
And I thought that it was around that against Purdue too. Maybe I was overshooting a little bit, but there were stretches in Purdue where they were probably 20% zone in that game. So
and it's just a way to shut off these guards that you really can't guard without Kyle and Boswell, right? Like, Wesley Yates is a really imposing, athletic, downhill guard. Zoom Diallo, the same thing. And, Andre Stojakovic played 34 minutes, man. Like, he's playing hard defense for 34 minutes, but there's just certain times you can't guard those guys as well. So to throw that zone in there, shut off, kind of those driving lanes and force Washington to take some mid-range jumpers, force some players that, stepped up tonight. Who's the kid? Who's it? Mandequit stepped up, made some shots, but like, that's the guy you want shooting. I'd rather have that guy shoot it than Wesley Yates and Zoom Diallo. So it's been a nice little effective changeup that steals you some possessions, Kyle.
Yeah, it's an interesting zone too, because it's more of a matchup than it is like a real 2-3, because they're kind of manning up on the perimeter and letting those bigs on the backside take more of a zone. And they've kind of been zoning up more off the ball anyway. And so they're kind of mixing it all together in kind of a matchup zone that I think has been pretty effective. Like I thought against Purdue when they rolled it out, like that got Purdue out of rhythm a little bit and was forcing the non-Braden Smith guys to take some shots, even if some of those were open. Like that's probably the more effective strategy with the way that game was going. And then tonight, Wesley Yates got going a little bit. Zoom Diallo got going a little bit. You just throw that in there. It's not something that they stick with for longer than maybe 3 or 4 possessions at a time, but I think it can be effective, especially not having Kylan out there. To be able to give your perimeter guys some help, knowing that you're not going to be as stout at the point of attack, man to man. If you can just find ways to switch up the looks a little bit and just buy some possessions here and there. Like that's, again, we talk about it all the time. This is an elite offense. You don't have to be elite defensively. You just have to be good enough to complement your offense. And I think mixing things up a little bit and really starting to get better at this zone to throw it out a little bit more, which it feels like it's been more of an emphasis recently, I think can be a way to accomplish that.
Yeah, and it's not a surprise. This team is slipping defensively without Kyle and Boswell, right? Now your offense hasn't, but your defense has fallen to number 32 in the country, but you're doing enough, right? You're doing just enough to do it. And that's what Cam Crocker's job is to do, right? This offense or this roster was built around offense. You just got to find a way to win enough possessions to give yourself a chance. And rebounding has been a big part of that. Their length is a big part of that. But stealing some of those possessions is coming up big for them. All right, some misses, Kyle. You got some?
Yeah, I didn't think it was the greatest night for the Ivisic twins in this game offensively. I thought both guys rebounded. Give Tomislav a lot of credit. Consistent rebounding. He came into this game 4 straight games with 7 or more rebounds, gets 6 tonight against a physical front court that's really good. And Zvonimir gets 5 rebounds tonight as well. Just those guys didn't make shots. Those guys weren't very involved offensively. Just, again, we alluded to it talking about David. They're just, I don't really know what to make of this Tommy offensive season. It's been inconsistent. It feels like it takes him a while within a game to really get involved. And I made the comment during the game, like he never makes a first half 3 anymore. It feels like he can't shoot in the first half. He
phenomenal in the final 5 minutes. Yeah,
makes it in clutch time, although he didn't tonight with a couple that they could have put it away. Just 1 for 8, 3 for 11 from the floor. Did have a nice post move on Frank Kepnag at one point, but just those guys didn't have great offensive nights. Didn't think it was their best night, but you didn't really need it on a night where David was this good. And that's the beauty of this front court, is you've got so much skill and shooting ability that you don't need all 3 to be on in one night. You would like to see Tomislav build more consistency, which it feels like he's been so close to doing. And he started to do it on the glass and in some other areas. Just the offensive consistency has waned, but didn't end up impacting you tonight, but there's better performances for both those guys than what you saw today.
The Twins Ivisic combined for 1 of 11 from 3, but Humrichous and Mirkovic combined for 6 for 14. So 8 for 25. That's not great, right? It's 32%, but still effective, right? Especially with the offensive rebounds that you got back. And that's where I think Tommy's been really good. Keaton's really good from there. He had 3 offensive rebounds tonight. David Mirkovic with 3, but everybody that played outside of Z had an offensive rebound tonight. So everyone's going, and they have bought in to that mindset. Andre, it wasn't a great start for him tonight. We start 0 for 4, missed some layups. I think they were contested. Didn't draw iron on a few of his jumpers early in this game, but he did get downhill a few times for a few big buckets. Wasn't great on the glass, but he is like, there's just times like he's the last couple of games where he's just kind of been in the game and I didn't really notice him all that much. A lot of that is because Keaton's playing so damn well. Right? It's kind of like Tommy. David's playing so well that Tommy kind of gets lost in it, and then Keaton's playing so well with the ball in his hands that Andre kind of gets lost in it. But as long as he continues to give that effort and buys into winning, which I think he has. I mean, just a couple games ago, Andre had 30 points. right? You're going to need that again at some point. He's just got to be ready for it. But defensively, I think he's expending a lot of energy on that end without Kylan on here. And I'd have to go back and watch exactly how it all went for him. They did go more zone, but when they were man-to-man, he was on Yates for most of the game,
Yeah.
I believe, and Yates didn't go off. Yates had some moments where he had kind of took over the game, but you'll take holding him to 13 points on 10 shots tonight.
Yeah, it just feels like offensively with Andre there's just not a natural fit in what Illinois is doing right now, and I think you can kind of see that and it's kind of always been the case for him, but it feels like, when he doesn't touch the ball early in the possession and kind of just go, that there's not much involvement there because he's not a great spot up shooter, and you're just running so much action through Keaton, and rightfully so, that he does kind of get lost in it a little bit, and he needs the ball. He needs to individually be able to create offensively and get downhill with the ball in his hands to be effective offensively for this team. And those opportunities just haven't come as much outside of the Maryland game because it's been in Keaton's hands pretty much every time, or it's been in David's hands.
Can I make a quick point? I think
Yeah.
the two areas where he needs to go are transition, because he's the one guy that it feels like outside with Kylan out that in transition can go get to the rim. And there was one point where he was in transition and it took him a second to like, oh, the lane's open. And then he missed the layup there. The other one is cutting.
Yeah.
What a phenomenal pass by Tommy. Like it was like a spin pass. I looked at you and said, did he mean to do that, or did that just kind of get knocked out of his hands? Unbelievable, like no look spin pass from Tommy, but Andre cut to the basket. And like those are such easy buckets for him with the players that are around him, David, Tommy, Keaton, all those guys making such good passes. And Jake Davis is a pretty good passer too. Like those are the areas where I think he can find more easy buckets to kind of get him going.
Yeah, and a commenter makes a good point here, saying that the slow tempo that they've played here recently doesn't really play to Andre's strengths as much, because it is a guy who wants to play fast, wants to get downhill, wants to push and transition a little bit.
It's a great point.
Although he hasn't, to that extent too, I think there's been opportunities for him to do that a little bit more, and that hasn't been the case. Now, maybe part of that is the fact that Illinois just wants to slow it down as much as they have.
What a
but
slow
Illinois,
game tonight, by the way.
61 possessions tonight. Yeah,
Wow.
Illinois is playing really, really slow. They're the slowest offensive tempo team in the Big Ten during conference play.
Yeah.
Average possession length for Illinois, 18th out of 18 teams in conference play. So it's a really slow half-court offense, which I do think hurts Andre a little bit and doesn't play to his strengths as much. But I just think, it's just a tough balance there with how reliant Illinois has been on Keaton and just what Andre needs to thrive. Those opportunities just haven't been there as much for him recently, and I think you're still going to need those. I think there's still going to be matchups where you can really push that button a lot more when he's going to get those individual matchups more. I think Washington has good physicality and athleticism on the perimeter, so I didn't necessarily think it was a great matchup anyway. But yeah, I think you just want to see the consistency in some of the other areas defensively, rebounding, which I think for the most part he's done, even if tonight maybe wasn't the greatest night. If he can give you that consistently, even on these quieter offensive nights, so it doesn't feel like he's absent from the game, that's really what you hope for, because I do think this team's shifting kind of away from Andre a little bit, and Andre isolation ball offensively. And so I think you need to kind of mold him into somebody who can really complement Keaton and these other guys more.
Nebraska could be a game for him, right?
Yeah, it was Lawrence the first time.
Yeah, Lawrence and Hoiberg small. Sanford, not a great defender. Like that could be a game where you really need Andre to step up. All right, let's get to one more quick break to get your super chats, and we'll also talk about the rematch against Nebraska. Huge game in the Big Ten title race. But let's hear from one of our great sponsors first. Guys, I know you're hitting the gym hard to start the new year, but you have to fuel those gains. And starting the year strong is easier and way more delicious with premium portion proteins from Omaha Steaks. Stay satisfied, get energy, fuel your routine with premium pre-packaged protein delivered right to your door from Omaha Steaks. And it's not just fuel, this is delicious experience, guys. From handcrafted USDA certified tender steaks to gourmet burgers, some of the juiciest you'll have, versatile chicken and pork and more. They have an unmatched variety of high quality proteins that everyone loves. And right now you can taste the difference and get an extra $35 off at omahasteaks.com with promo code Illini at checkout. Omaha Steak sent me a box, guys, and I tell you, the burgers are some of the most delicious you'll have. It's really, really tender steak, and they tell you how to prep it, how to cook it, so that you cook it the best way. So let Omaha Steaks deliver high-quality proteins right to your door. Visit omahasteaks.com, get an extra $35 off with promo code Illini at checkout. That's OMAHA steaks.com, promo code Illini. Terms apply. See site for details. All right, let's wrap up tonight's late night podcast with the Big Ten title race, Kyle. It's real. Illinois is a Big Ten title contender, one of 4 teams tied at 9-1 atop the Big Ten race with 10 regular season games remaining, and it sets up a huge month of February. By the way, this is the first time Illinois went undefeated in January since 2004-05. So 8-0 this month in January for Illinois. Some other stats that really stand out. This is from Derek Burson from Illinois in the SID office. Illinois is 9-1 in Big Ten play. Its best conference start since 2004-05, and the 18-3 start is the best 21-game start to open a season since 05-06 when Dee and Augie were here, and they started 19-2. Well, those were Big Ten title contenders, Kyle, and this is one of 3-4 Big Ten teams, that Big Ten title contenders that Brad Underwood has had, with 2021, 21-22 that won a share, and then 23-24 was in the mix towards the end of that season. But here we go. Go to Nebraska, kind of the scene of the team that left the crime scene here after they had 1.35 points per possession. That 83-80 win. Illinois found a way to have a chance in that game despite Price Sanford going off on them, but just never could find the stops. But this team has responded and rattled off 10 straight wins. The defense has gotten just enough better, and then you've taken care of business and gotten a couple big wins on the road at Iowa and at Purdue. But this could be the toughest one because Purdue, even Nebraska without 2 of its best players, and Frager with the ankle injury, Rinkmast was sick. They led for 36 minutes at Michigan and lost 75-72 against a full-strength Michigan team. So can't wait for this rematch, Kyle. What are you most interested in seeing?
Everything. I mean, this Big Ten title race, it's the Martin Scorsese meme, absolute cinema. Like, this is going to be phenomenal. I
mean, these are 4 Final Four contenders. Like, this
yes.
is what a grouping at the top of the Big Ten. Like, the middle of the Big Ten's okay, the bottom of the Big Ten's bad, but the top is fantastic.
Yeah, and I still wouldn't count out Purdue just yet. I know they're going through something, but I think that's another Final Four level team if they're clicking right. So, yeah, it's going to be awesome, and just to watch this play out. And I think this matchup, honestly, is maybe one of the most important matchups left in the entire Big Ten in terms of determining the Big Ten title race, because you look at Nebraska's schedule, and when you're comparing all 5 of these teams, or I guess you can kind of take Purdue out now, these top 4 teams that are all tied right now, Nebraska's got the favorable schedule here remaining. They already went to Illinois and won. They already beat Michigan State. They just played Michigan. After Illinois on Sunday, their only game against another top 5 team in the conference is at home against Purdue. And that's not to say that they're not, they go out, play UCLA and USC on a West Coast trip. That won't be easy. There's still losses available. They're at Iowa, but they have the most favorable schedule left. So if Illinois wants to win a Big Ten title, I kind of think you have to win this game on Sunday if you really want a true shot at that. Even though you would only be 1 game back, you'd be swept by a team that's kind of in the driver's seat. So this is a really, really important game for Illinois, and one that they should have a lot of juice for, because that was a really frustrating loss here on your home floor back in December, and one that clearly, based on everything almost everybody has said, was kind of the moment in the season that kind of flipped things. And you could tell it was a tough week following that, and there were some tough conversations had, and this team kind of had to make some changes and adjust some things, and they have, and they've been phenomenal. This is a much better basketball team. Even though you're not going to have Kylan available on Sunday, this is a much better basketball team than the one Nebraska played here in Champaign. Now you got to go show it, and now you got to go get some get back against a really, really good team. This is going to be a really tough game, and Nebraska just has a consistency to what they do, what they run offensively. We saw them put Illinois in a blender. It's a tough matchup for this front court with all the off-ball screening they do. And we saw Price Sanford's ability to get comfortable and get hot, and Nebraska as a team shoots it a lot better at home than they do away from home at Pinnacle Bank Arena, which has been kind of one of the tougher places to play in the conference here over the last 3 or 4 years. I mean, it was 2 years ago that they went 10-0 there in conference play, and obviously haven't lost there this year. So it's a tough game. Illinois' got to come to play. Illinois' got to correct the defensive mistakes that they made that first matchup, and it's going to be fun to watch. It's two really, really good teams going at it, and we'll see if Illinois can get the better of them.
Yeah, and you said it, like, for Illinois, this is get back, right? Like, hey, in the long run of this entire season, that Nebraska loss can really be a positive for Illinois. And I think it has been over the last, month and a half. Like, it awoke them. It allowed Brad Underwood to just ream into them for a month as they practice and try to wash that taste away. Well, here's your chance. Here's your chance to wash that taste away. And it's got to take 40 minutes of great effort, but also incredible focus. Because, as you said, Nebraska's offense just puts teams into a blender. Even without Rink Mass the other day, like, Lawrence has stepped up and become the guard I didn't think Nebraska had. Sam Hoiberg is having an unbelievable year. And then Price Sanford is playing like an all Big Ten first-team guy, and you just can't let him get loose or comfortable at any moment. And doing all that with all the actions and all the space that they create, Kyle, they're just so good at what they do. It reminds me of a little bit of Indiana football. Like, there's so much age on that team, so much maturity, but so much connectivity, and they're so good at what they do. Like, they've mastered what they do offensively, defensively. They're really connected. It's really fun to watch from an observer, and it's a huge challenge. And Michigan just dealt with it. Like, Michigan got tested at their own house, and the rest of the Big Ten needed Michigan to win that game, just like the rest of the Big Ten needs Illinois to beat Nebraska in Lincoln, just like you said, because they have picked up a lot of their big wins already. Like, I know somebody made the error, like they haven't played a tough schedule. No, they have beat Illinois. Yeah. They've beat Michigan State as well. So they have a couple of those huge wins already, winning at Ohio State, winning at Indiana. These are not easy wins to get that they already have under their belt.
Yeah, I mean, connectivity is the word for them. Like, on both sides of the ball, offensively, just so connected, just execute so well. It doesn't matter who's in there. They just do what they do. They generate the shots they generate, which is a lot of threes, a lot of open looks, run Sanford off a lot of screens that you can really, especially this Illinois team without Kylan, I think is going to struggle again to deal with him. And so you're going to have to find an answer there. And just the communication is going to have to be so much better for Illinois. But defensively too, like, Illinois scored fine on them here in second half, especially. Illinois found success offensively, but they pick up for each other. There's not a lot of mistakes. There's just their rotations are crisp. They're usually going to contest, and they give up a lot of threes, but they're not, wide open looks. They're usually in rotation, contesting those shots. So it just really tests your ability to match that level of connectivity and match the chemistry that they have. Because if you're at all disjointed, or if you're at all making the types of errors that Illinois made here, they're going to beat you. And they just keep kind of one-upping themselves. Like, to go into Michigan, I get that they lost and they were probably due for a loss, but I thought
That's
there was
almost
a
impressive
potential
as any
there.
win they've
Yeah,
had.
I thought there was a potential for Michigan to run them out of the building when I saw
Yeah.
Mask wasn't going to play, because it's probably two of their three best players that they didn't have. You go into Michigan, who's terrifying with their size, has so much more size than that team, and they had a chance to win if that charge call goes Sam Hoiberg's way, like they probably should have. This is a really, really good team that is just going to test Illinois in ways that I think are difficult for this roster to handle. And so we'll see how it goes. This is kind of the next measuring stick for this team. How much have you grown since that last game? Because you've taken care of every game since then. You're rolling, top 5 team in KenPom. Everything has gone great, and this team is in such a rhythm right now. But that was kind of the last moment. And, can you make up? Can you correct that? Can you make up for that now? And, you get this win and you make it 11 straight wins, and you get your second top 5 road win in as many weeks. Yeah, what I wrote last weekend will become even more true. This is a national title team if you can get that done.
Well, and that's why these games are so much fun. There's a little bit of scariness to it because it's like this team's really, really good that you're going to play on the road. But you know what? I can't wait to see this team compete because I don't have any question that, like, Kyle, they just went into Mackey and won. Like, I have no question that they're going to go in and have a chance, right? Like they're going to have a right mindset. Their point guard certainly is going to, and Keaton Wagler. But David Mirkovic is going to bring physicality. I think Tomislav Ivicic has brought physicality and toughness here recently. And I think this coaching staff's going to have them prepared. And I think they have more talent than Nebraska, but Nebraska is going to force you to execute. And that's what this is going to come down to. Like, I don't have a lot of questions about toughness, physicality, mindset with this team anymore. I think they have those things. I think, Ben Humrichous talked about after the game, the standard of defense and rebounding, like that's got to be some of our focus. I think those things are there. Now it's about executing. The scouting report against one of the toughest teams to execute against because of what they do offensively, and then execute offensively consistently of what you've done and make 12 threes and offensive rebound and steal possessions that way. Can't wait, man. This is a heavyweight fight, and it's going to be a lot of fun. And speaking of that, we got another one tomorrow night with Michigan State hosting Michigan tomorrow night. So
that's going to be awesome too.
We're going to have two different we're going to know the two front runners probably in the Big Ten after Sunday.
Yeah, and there's a world where Michigan State gets that done tomorrow. Illinois goes into Lincoln and wins, and guess what we got next Saturday? Awesome. Top 2 teams of the conference going at it again. This is going to be a really fun month and a half here to close out Big Ten play. This is as fun of a Big Ten race as I can remember since I started watching Big Ten basketball, which admittedly hasn't been all that long, a little, 12 years or something, but this is going to be fun. This is going to be really fun.
I mean, the 22 year where Illinois got a share of it, where, it was coming down to Purdue, Wisconsin, and Illinois, and Nebraska beats Wisconsin in the last game. Like that was pretty exciting. This one feels like this feels like the best top of the Big Ten I've seen in a very, very long time. Just like national contenders. Feels like the first time I've felt that since, I don't know, man. Like you think of Michigan State made the Final Four the same year Illinois did in 05, but they weren't as great during the season. So it's one of the best that I've seen for sure. All right, that'll do it for us. Late here. It's 12:13 here at State Farm Center. But we appreciate you guys joining us live. Hit that like button, subscribe, hit that notifications bell if you're watching us live on YouTube. If you're listening on the podcast, give us a follow, rating, and review wherever you get your podcast. And don't forget, become a VIP member. Wrote about the how the Illini built this offense. Tyler Underwood and Brad Underwood talked about it a lot with me
yesterday.
So
Story.
Appreciate that. You can go read that. Joey's got coverage tonight. He's writing about it. Ben Humrichous, so player grades. I'm going to write about the Big Ten race as well. So if you want to become a VIP member, now is the time to do it. $1 for your first 2 months. That'll take you through the NCAA tournament, potentially for Illinois. Maybe you got to add an extra week after that. But now is the time to sign up for a VIP membership. But for Kyle Tausk, I'm Jeremy Werner. Everybody have a great night. Take care of each other. We'll talk to you next time right here on the Illini Inquirer podcast.
Bye, everybody.